I wanted it to, I have to hit go live up here. That's why I didn't want it to do it. But anyway,
You need that or no?
okay. Can you tackle that beacon for me though? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Nightlight Conversations that Inspires. I am your host, Dawn E. Stevens of Nightlight. I thank you for joining us. And so we are coming in tonight just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a wonderful host that comes to help, a guest that's going to come on tonight and share with us. And so tonight, as we are in the season number 2 called the Grace Period, I just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, hey, Louise, how are you? How are you? So let us know that you are here. If you are tuning in to Nightlight Conversations that Inspires, please let us know that you are here. I am your host, Dawn E. Stevens, and we have a great episode for you tonight. I have a conversation with someone that I think you're gonna really enjoy the conversation. Again, Nightlight is our opportunity to share some light in what can be sometimes called the nighttime in some other people's lives. And so, as we move forward, as we get ready to introduce our guests, and as we get ready to come to you with our nightlife for the grace period, again, I also want to say thank you to our sponsors for tonight's show. Which is My Daddy is the Bomb and the Lighthouse Restore, Reset, and Retreat Center. And so I just want to say thank you all for how much you have been sewing into what we're doing here at My Daddy is the Bomb. And I also wanted to make sure that we are centered in why we are having conversations that inspire in order to be the light in the nighttime. And so this week, we have started off our session with Pastor Keisha Ward last week in regards to the grace period. And what we talked about for Pastor Keisha was we talked about there being a grace period and the importance and the need to cry out to God. And so as we continue and move forward in the grace period, I just want to make sure that we set the tone and set the pace so that everyone is well aware of what it means to be in a grace period. And so again, I want to make sure that we are, you can see us, let us know where you're from. Let us know which apps you're tuning in from. And so we look forward to having a great conversation tonight. My guest on this evening happens to be Dr. Joy P. Creel of the CEO of Daughter Status Foundation. She's also a most recent published author, and she is the host of Hope and Her podcast. All of you are tuning in from Dr. Joy's platforms. She is a phenomenal minister, teacher, licensed practicing counselor. And so we are going to ask Dr. Joy a little bit about her new book, which we will be talking about here, Leveraging Hope. And so again, Dr. Joy's written a new book called Leveraging Hope. Hopefully you can see that. And so I am going to allow Dr. Joy to introduce herself to you all, and then we'll get into our conversation for this evening. All right, Dr. Joy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joy. I'm super excited to be here with you all. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for having me, Dawn. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I am really, really grateful to just have this time and space, and I am looking forward to what comes from this conversation. Like Dawn just mentioned, I have recently authored and published a book called Leveraging Hope. And so I'm excited to have the conversation about it tonight.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So as we continue on in our conversation on leveraging hope, and again, we are joining each other to have conversations. For some of those of you all who may be tuning in, you may be familiar with Dr. Joy and I from sharing in Dr. Joy did a 40-day journey for her birthday, and we shared in that journey in regards to each morning we would have conversations and discussions around Sorry, I need to fix the camera. There we go. It's gonna bug me the whole time. um, so we had conversations around the 40 days that we led up to Dr. Joy's birthday, and so that was a great opportunity for us to come together, have some conversations around the different topics in the book, Getting Out of God's Way, as well as the different topics in Dr. Joy's book, Leveraging Hope. And so on tonight, Dr. Joy, I want you to answer just a few quick questions for us in regards to, so we're talking about the grace period for season two. Season two, we're all talking about the grace period, and it's centered around 1 Corinthians 15 and 10, right? 15 and 10. And so I'm going to share that with those of you all who may not know what that is. But it says, but whatever I am now, it is because God poured out his special favor on me, and not without results. For I have worked harder than any of the other apostles. Yet it was not I, but God who was working through me, but by his grace, right? But by his grace. And so one of the things that we always talk about, and you may hear people say, but God, or you may hear people say, by the grace of God. Mm-hmm. And so one of the areas or the topics that I wanted us to kind of talk about, or I wanted you to kind of answer in regards to the area of grace, is I know inside of leverage, I want to know, what was your inspiration for writing the book Leveraging Hope? What made you? Yeah, I know. Go ahead, tell the people. Tell the people, Dr. Joy, what happened? Listen, I'm gonna mess with Dr. Joy quite a bit during the show, so y'all just don't charge it to my heart. Go ahead, Dr. Joy. So, what was the inspiration behind penning this book, Dr. Joy?
What was my inspiration? So it was purely and fully God. Because Dawn knows that I didn't want to write a book. So like, to be inspired to do something that you don't want to do, for me, like, that was all that literally was all God. And so in the process, my biggest thing was to really just make sure that I honor God in what he was giving me to do. So it was literally a partnership with God. It was like, okay, God, tell me what you want to write. I'm gonna write it. And that's gonna be it. And so I feel like it was inspired by God.
Okay, so it was inspired by God to write. So for those of you all who know, I had my own book journey, and it was very interesting, right? It was a very interesting journey because I too did not want to write a book. And so, Dr. Joy, what happened, or what encouraged you, inspired you, made you think that it would probably be in your best interest to go ahead and write the book, considering, all things considered, that you did not want to write a book?
Well, I feel like when God tells you to do something, you gotta do it. You should do it. It will work in your favor to do it. And also, really just knowing that if God gave it to me to do, that it had to be something that was going to come from it, that was going to be a seed, that was going to be able to help other people, right? And so for me, it's all about people getting, delivered and transformed, right? And being helped into a space where, they can walk out purpose.
Okay, so we're talking about a little bit of transformation. We're talking a little bit about obedience. We're talking a little bit about having the ability to hear God speak. One of the things that I talked about last week in regards to the grace period, and why I called this the grace period, was because the grace period was because sometimes, you have an opportunity to do a thing in a period of time, right? And then if it goes beyond that period of time, then you are sometimes can find yourself in a situation where you get a little extra time, which is normally called the grace period, right? And so you don't get a penalty in the grace period, but if you go beyond the grace period, that's when the penalty sets in. And what we talked about in the Lord is the Lord covers us from the beginning of our lives until we go home to glory. That is considered the grace period. And so there's some things that we encounter, some things that we're assigned to do. There's some things that we're called to do inside that grace period. That if we're not careful, we may miss our opportunity to display a level of obedience, to display a level of commitment to Christ, or actually to be used by God to be a vessel that he wants to use to bless other people. And so, okay, it's very delayed. So what in Leveraging Hope, I saw that there was 2 chapters that spoke out to me, right?
Mhm.
There was 2 areas where I feel like when people are challenged or they come up against these 2 particular areas, they sometimes don't get the results that they're looking for. They sometimes don't, they want to quit, right? Or they want to disobey, or they want to just opt out of the whole process altogether. Because sometimes when you come up against challenges, uh, it could be no fun. It could be a season of loss,
Mhm.
or a season of grief,
Mhm.
or a season of frustration.
Yeah.
And so those things don't always appear to be attractive to people,
Mhm.
right? It's not something that I just really want to do, right? That's something I want to do. And so for you,
Okay.
understanding that there was a lot going on, just because I know Dr. Joy, can you tell us a little bit of what was going on during the process of you writing the book, or during the process before you were writing the book, that made you understand that people really needed to leverage their hope?
So when I started writing the book, I was in a place that was so it's interesting that God would have me write a book on hope in a time when, particularly when I started it, I was struggling with hope a little bit. And so one of the things that happened in that space was being able to kind of not kind of, but being able to lean into the space that God would have me to be. And so one of the things that was going on in that space is I was driving Uber. All right. And so that was so in addition to all the other things that I do. Okay. So like let's talk about, I'm a therapist and have been forever, or at least forever for me, like over a decade, right? So been a therapist for a long time. I was also I'm an entrepreneur full time. So definitely pouring into my business, which part of my business is pouring into others, from just the perspective of working on the back end for people and different things of that nature. And so it was just like so many things going on. And nobody knew that I was driving Uber. Like, I don't even know if I've made that public before now, like actually until right now in this moment. People in my life knew that I was driving Uber, and they were nervous for me because it was like adding another thing. It was like adding another iron to the fire, right? Um, and so it and a lot of the reason that people didn't know was because like I felt a level of hopelessness. I felt a level of vulnerability. I felt a level of shame, because I wasn't driving Uber out of like for fun, right? Like it was a need and necessity. And so like that felt I don't know. For me, it felt low. It was a low time. It was a low time trying to like pull things together, like make stuff make sense in life when there's so much stuff going on and all of that. So yeah, that was like, and that was it was a tough it was a tough time. That was at the start of writing the book.
Okay, so I started writing the book.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm understanding you to say is that you had a little bit of a challenge with hope on your own
Mm-hmm.
already. So it meant that you kind of leaned into that opportunity. Not sometimes when we are given assignments and things of that particular nature, God can give you an assignment, and it is a two sword, double-edged sword assignment, right? You're
Sure.
ministering as you are receiving a word. I always say you have to live through it almost in order um, to be able to share it with other people. And so, one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you to share some of the journey or some of the things that could have assisted you with this journey is, give me 1 second. We're going to.
Because I don't know if it's where it's supposed to be at. Where do you want it?
Listen, listen, y'all. Listen, y'all. Let me tell you something. If this were a blooper reel, it would really be a blooper reel. Okay.
That would be muted, but I don't know.
I just unmuted it. Okay, so we're going to do a quick reset and then we'll come right back. Okay, we'll be right back.
It's 3 people. It's 3 people.
Oh, okay. Well, let's keep going. Okay, but where are they from?
I don't know. They're probably all over.
Oh, okay. Mm-mm. No.